We all know the sudden, heavy drop in your stomach when you realize you've just sent a massive email clanger, an incredibly embarrassing mistake that you can't take back. Despite the endless rise of instant messaging apps, email remains the primary engine of professional communication. That makes the modern inbox a highly volatile environment, where your personal reputation is constantly resting on your spelling, on your tone, and your choice of recipients. Avoiding disaster requires a deliberate filter. Before typing a single word, you have to pause and evaluate the potential fallout. If a topic is likely to trigger a strong emotional response, writing it down is a terrible strategy. You have to know when to leave your desk and deliver the message face to face. The digital landscape is scattered with traps. Signing off with a pretentious single letter, as if you are the Queen of England, instantly alienates people. Or worse, failing to check the to field and sending a paragraph slagging off your prosp directly to your boss's inbox. We obsess over these micro-communications because of the absolute permanence they carry. Hitting send instantly removes your control over the message. It creates a permanent record that reflects your working relationships and firmly cements your individual legacy. Pulling back from the fleeting pixels of our daily outbox, we face a scaled-up version of this exact same problem. Humans expend massive amounts of anxious energy protecting our digital footprints. How then do we manage the permanent physical legacy of all humanity? A global monument and a morning memo actually require the same mechanism to survive. They both need a rigorous, highly intentional filter to separate the disposable noise from what holds genuine significance. Without a deliberate system to evaluate value, time treats everything equally. A historic ruin is entirely vulnerable to being paved over, exactly as a pristine reputation is vulnerable to a careless typo. Humanity's macro filter is UNESCO. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization is a specialized global agency designed to promote international cooperation and protect locations of extreme historical value. This map visualizes the scale of their work, showing exactly 1,073 glowing data points representing World Heritage Sites. To earn a place on this board, a location must prove it possesses a highly unique physical or cultural significance to the human story. No single country has successfully passed this filter more times than Italy. It holds the record with 53 recognized historical footprints scattered across its borders. Earning that official global protection requires surviving a lengthy, exhaustive selection process. Transitioning a structure from a well-known local landmark to a globally defended heritage site takes years of rigorous documentation. In practice, UNESCO acts as the ultimate geopolitical inbox. Bureaucrats and historians filter through the noise to decide which specific pieces of human history are officially deemed worthy of permanent survival. The definition of heritage is surprisingly broad. The historic city of Yazd in central Iran preserves a complex network of ancient water tunnels and Islamic architecture dating back to the 5th century. The list also protects human resilience. On the border of Botswana and Namibia, the Komani San nomads represent a living cultural landscape, having adapted to the harsh weather of a massive desert environment over millennia. Preservation must also force us to remember brutal history. The worn stone foundations of the Valonga Wharf in Rio are heavily protected, marking the exact entry point for almost 1 million enslaved Africans. The protection extends into the 20th century. The capital of Eritrea boasts a highly unusual collection of interwar modernist architecture, prominently featuring a service station designed by Italian architects to mimic the wings of an airplane. A modernist gas station and a 5th century mosque look nothing alike, but they share a critical vulnerability. Left entirely alone, weather, expansion, and human neglect would eventually destroy them both. Operating a global filter at this scale creates massive friction. The financial cost required for a developing nation to successfully petition UNESCO and then physically maintain the site to their standards is incredibly high. That steep cost has driven intense criticism of the organization. The World Heritage List heavily favors wealthy nations, resulting in a distinct geographical bias that leaves European sites disproportionately represented on the global map. Despite the bureaucratic flaws, the primary mechanism works. Earning a spot on that official list acts as a massive beacon, driving intense global awareness and unlocking the funding necessary to keep active conservation teams on the ground. The UNESCO list is a highly imperfect geopolitical tool, yet it functions as our most effective organized defense against the slow, silent erasure of human history. Protecting an ancient city requires the exact same mental posture as typing out a quick response to your manager. Both are easily destroyed by a simple lack of attention. Even official recognition can backfire. In places like the English Lake District, the subtle beauty of its glacial hills is constantly threatened because the UNESCO listing inadvertently encourages the mass tourism it seeks to manage. Survival requires highly deliberate choices. You have to intentionally manage the heavy foot traffic in a fragile valley, just as you have to intentionally read through a draft email to strip out a veiled insult. Every act of communication, from the shortest digital message fired across an office to the billions of dollars spent preserving an ancient stone wharf, forces us to actively decide the exact legacy we are going to leave behind.